Today I'm reacting to your Monday Night Raw Hot Takes. Hot Takes is a weekly video series where I give you all a platform to be able to voice your thoughts, whether those are good thoughts, bad thoughts, or everything in between about the world of professional wrestling. So if you'd like to be featured in the next episode of Hot Takes, I encourage you to come follow me on X because I ask for your hot takes there after every episode of Raw, SmackDown, and every single WWE Premium Live event. Which means, yes, we will be doing an episode of Hot Takes immediately after Night of Champions. Now, if you are looking for my full review of this particular episode of Monday Night Raw, it's already up and available with footage so that you can see exactly what it is that I'm talking about, frame by frame, all over on patreon.com/SantiZap. I obviously can't upload that here because it would just get blocked due to copyright. So go check it out, link in the description, link in the pinned comment. As always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I know that you're gonna fall in love with this YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. All right, folks, let's see what you sent in. Happy to see Karrion Kross getting a premium live event match. The pops are getting louder and louder. I expect that we get more of him on Raw post Night of Champions. Listen, I'm just glad that we're getting a Karrion Kross match, let alone a Karrion Kross match on a WWE Premium Live event. This is a guy that got himself organically over despite the fact that WWE clearly had no interest in actually pushing or using this guy, considering he would rarely appear on TV, and if he did appear on TV, it would be for like 30 seconds at most, and more often than not, those 30 seconds would be on the commercial break during Raw Netflix. But he's finally getting a match, a big match against a huge opponent in a big venue in Night of Champions Saudi Arabia against Sami Zayn. This is the opportunity that we've been begging the WWE to give Karrion Kross because they were giving him absolutely nothing. But now that the opportunity has presented itself, Karrion, you cannot fumble this. You have to absolutely have the best match of your entire career. You cannot go out there and stink up the joint. And unfortunately, I've seen a handful of Karrion Kross matches before he got over with the crowd, and more often than not, unfortunately, they were a bit of a stinker, and this cannot be one of those matches. If he goes out there and has a bad match, if the crowd is dead for this, I don't think Karrion Kross gets another opportunity like this, and I think that the magic and the backing of the crowd is going to disappear with it. So I just desperately hope that Karrion takes this opportunity, doesn't just run with it, but absolutely sprints with it, because this is his make or break. This is what's going to determine whether or not Triple H is actually going to continue to use this guy week after week after week. So you say that you think that we're going to get more of him Raw post Night of Champions? I think it entirely depends on whether or not he knocks it out of the park with Sami Zayn. I miss Pat McAfee so much. Don't get me wrong. I love Corey Graves and I think that he's great, but Pat brings that much needed energy and humor throughout the show. His chemistry with Michael Cole ups the show's levels. So I feel like I've come to the realization that your preference for the commentary team and style, I think, is entirely subjective, because I get just as many comments of the opposite, that they love Corey Graves, that they love Wade Barrett, and that they don't miss Pat McAfee. I think it just depends on what style of commentary team do you like. Do you like a commentary team that is focused on what's going on in the ring, or do you like a commentary team that's a character within the show that you like? Because Michael Cole and Pat McAfee, they're characters, and Pat McAfee brings out the best out of Michael Cole in that character persona. But meanwhile, Michael Cole and Corey Graves or Wade Barrett, they're there to do commentary. They are there to talk about the match, to tell the story, and that's it. They themselves do not interject themselves into the story. But I will say, I do miss Pat McAfee because he does bring out the most enjoyable version of Michael Cole, and the show is better when Michael Cole is having fun. Have you ever tried Googling your own name or email before? I did recently, and what I found was wild, because there were dozens of sites that were listing my name, my old addresses, phone numbers, old phone numbers, even places that I've never even lived before. To be honest, it felt kind of violating, like someone was quietly selling parts of my life behind my back. That's why I'm glad that today's video is sponsored by Aura. If you've ever wondered how scammers get your phone numbers or why your inbox is full of spam, this is why. Data brokers. These companies collect your personal info without your consent and sell it to marketers around the world, scammers, and sometimes even worse. And yes, they're technically required to remove your info at your request, but they bury that process under layers of fine print and hoops. It's complicated enough that the average person just doesn't have the time in the day to be able to take care of that. That's why I use Aura, and I've recommended it to my friends and families because they just do the hard part for you. Because Aura automatically requests removals of your data from these sketchy sites and make sure that it stays days off. But that's not all. Aura is like an all-in-one digital bodyguard, because you're gonna get real-time alerts if your info shows up on sketchy sites on the dark web, fraud notifications for your credit and banking, a VPN, an antivirus, a password manager, the works. And their US-based support is there 24/7 just in case. By the way, if something does go wrong, Aura includes $5 million in identity theft insurance. It honestly does make me mad that companies are profiting off of our data, but at least now I'm not leaving myself vulnerable. Luckily for you, you can try Aura for free for 14 days over at aura.com/SantiZap. That's enough time for Aura to start scrubbing your info from the internet without you lifting a single finger. I'm not going to be leaving my data out there, and honestly, you shouldn't either. Thank you again, Aura, for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get you back to the wrestling that you came for. I like the Night of Champions card, but man, with Dom and AJ out, it's just 2 title matches. This premium live event should have been King and Queen of the Ring like last year instead of Night of Champions, because the name is so ironic now. You want to hear something more ironic? There's now technically more championship matches on the night before Night of Champions, which has 3, than the actual Night of Champions, which now has 2. I remember back in my day when Night of Champions meant that every single championship got defended. This time around, it's just a couple of them. Should this have just been King and Queen of the Ring like last year? Honestly, yeah, probably. They should have just done that. I think at the end of the day, the name of the PLE doesn't really matter all that much, but when you call it Night of Champions, and we've had previous Night of Champions before, you kind of come to expect a particular type of night, which is championships being defended, and when you only have 2 of your 6 matches having championships on the line, it doesn't really feel like Night of Champions. But hey, you're never gonna hear me complain about a PLE card that's got CM Punk and John Cena and Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton, for God's sake. No disrespect to Raquel, but how is she getting a promo and a brawl while Eio Sky is getting less than 30 seconds of screen time during a commercial break? The answer is simple. It's because Raquel is working with Ria Ripley, and even if Ria Ripley is not the champion, she is going to be the primary focus of WWE's booking, because she's far and away the most popular female on the roster right now and completely dwarfs Eio Sky in terms of overall popularity, even if Eio Sky is amazing in the ring, even if Eio Sky is over, even if Eio Sky is the champion. If Eio Sky was feuding with Ria Ripley, I promise you that Eio Sky would be appearing on Raw every freaking 10 minutes. But unfortunately, not only is Eio Sky not feuding with Ria Ripley like Raquel is, but Eio Sky is feuding with literally nobody. It doesn't help the fact that we've lost Liv Morgan to this injury that now has her out for approximately 7 months. So the even micro feud and small feud that she had with Liv Morgan, even that's been scrapped. So she literally has nothing. But you can't even blame the Liv Morgan injury for this, because WWE was doing nothing with Eio Sky before they started the feud with Liv Morgan. So I just think that this is just general misbooking and poor treatment of Eio Sky as a champion. They haven't booked her very well, or booked her like at all. This match will determine whether WWE truly has plans for Karrion Kross's push. If he pulls away with a win, expect a huge second half of the year for him. I would be shocked if he wins. If he does win, I would agree with you. I think that we should expect a lot from Karrion Kross. However, I feel like even in a loss, we can expect a lot from Karrion Kross as well. I think first and foremost, the most important thing, as I've already alluded to earlier in this video, is that this match just has to be good. If the crowd is bored at any moment, then we have a problem here. But Karrion Kross can lose and still come out a winner in terms of his overall motivations. If he can get a darker version of Sami Zayn in this match, even if he loses, Karrion Kross still wins. And I'm not expecting Sami Zayn to lose this. I just don't think that they're going to have him lose in Saudi Arabia to a guy that barely ever gets featured on WWE TV, let alone a WWE Premium Live event. But if Karrion wins, I'm not going to complain about that either. I really appreciate WWE not making Rhea look like a Super Cena and instead making Raquel look strong. Where was this Raquel when Liv Morgan was champion, by the way? Because Rhea Ripley was absolutely clowning Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan when they were together, when Liv Morgan was running around as Women's World Champion. But now all of a sudden, Raquel Rodriguez is this badass that can actually go toe-to-toe with Rhea Ripley. That's what I wanted from the onset. That is the Raquel Rodriguez that I wanted as Liv Morgan's enforcer when she was feuding with Rhea Ripley. I guess better late than never, I suppose. Welcome, Raquel Rodriguez. This is what we've been expecting from you the entire time. That Tejana bomb through the table was genuinely filthy. This is the type type of badassery that I want to see from somebody like a Raquel Rodriguez. There's no reason why somebody as big as her, as strong as her, should be getting clown destroyed and chased off by Ria Ripley every single week. Sometimes Raquel Rodriguez needs to have these moments where she shows her overwhelming strength, a strength that in theory should be stronger than Ria Ripley. I actually really like this segment. I think that it made Ria Ripley seem a little bit more beatable, a little bit more human, which then makes her a little bit more relatable, and it really boosted up Raquel Rodriguez because it reminded the world that she can actually be that badass enforcer that she kind of failed at when she was with Liv Morgan. Why is Randy Cody being wasted for a Saudi card like Cena Punk? They rushed the Cena Orton feud, and now facing Cody makes me think Orton might be retiring soon. There are literally 2 legit matches on this card that could headline WrestleMania Night 2. Legit main events. What is wrong with that? Like, why should we only expect big matches at WrestleMania? What's wrong with getting WrestleMania-like matches at other points in the year? I think it would be kind of a disservice if we only got the big matches at WrestleMania, because it just makes the rest of the year just not feel anywhere near as cool. I personally don't think that Randy and Cody is being wasted at all. This is just the start of the feud. We know that this is going to have several more matches, probably a trilogy, maybe even 4 matches. Let's not forget that they ran Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens in what many people thought was a throwaway match. How are they going to waste this already in a babyface versus babyface match at Bash in Berlin? Dude, by the end of that feud, that was the best feud of the year with a headlining ladder match at the Royal Rumble. And that was Kevin Owens. Now imagine it with Randy Orton. This can still be a Night 2 headliner come next year's WrestleMania, and it just has to start here. We're just getting the ball rolling in what will be a long feud eventually. So I disagree with you. I don't think that this is being wasted. It's just the start of it. This was the highlight of the show. He's back. Ladies and gentlemen, he's not dead. Ludwick Kaiser is here, and Ludwick Kaiser is looking like $1 million. Ludwick Kaiser may be El Grande Americano. That's still yet to be confirmed. But is this actually the first sighting of Ludwick Kaiser in literal months? This is a guy that was having a storyline about wanting to get a WrestleMania match, doesn't get the WrestleMania match, gets the whole accusation of being in Charlotte's DMs, then disappears for months, and now he's appearing in the background of a Penta beatdown of Chad Gable. I'm nervous for Ludwick Kaiser, if I'm being honest with you. Even with him appearing, which is great, it's glad to see that he's back, that he's alive, but this is what he's being relegated to. This is the best that they could come up with for Ludwick Kaiser's a big triumphant return after months of being away. This doesn't exactly spell the next main eventer of the WWE. There was absolutely no reason for Lyra Valkyria to interfere with Becky Lynch and Bayley's IC title match. Lyra and Bayley literally had a backstage segment before this match showing no possibilities of Lyra needing to do this. Listen, I know what they were trying to get to, the women's triple threat match for the IC title. This is a match that I think everybody is on board with. Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyria versus Bayley, women's IC title, one of the main matches of Evolution, perfect. And I'm glad that we ended up getting to that final destination. However, the journey to get there was so convoluted, so unnecessary, and made Lyra Valkyria look like a complete dumbass. You're right. Why was Lyra Valkyria out there? Why was she out there helping Bayley get unburied? Nobody asked her to be out there to help Bayley. Why is she mad at Becky Lynch? Why? Because Becky Lynch accidentally hit her when Lyra Valkyria was the one that got in the way in the first place in a match that she's not involved with? And then she beats up Becky Lynch and gets Bayley disqualified and is all shocked that Bayley's pissed. Why'd we do that? Whatever though, it doesn't matter because we got to the thing that we wanted, the triple threat match. But the way that we got to it, it was stupid. It's too bad because I thought that Bayley and Becky Lynch were actually having like a pretty decent match, and they decided to just overbook it and make it just way too overcomplicated just for the sake of getting to the end result of the women's triple threat match. I felt like they genuinely could have found a better way to still get us to that women's triple threat without this just mess of a segment that they did between the three of them. Look, I love Seth, but that promo tonight just didn't work. It felt like he was trying a bit too hard to prove that he's the guy. The vibe was more of a quote, look at what I've done and how good I am, than something new. It's not really hitting as a main guy style, if that makes sense. Believe it or not, I actually get where you're coming from. I don't think the problem problem with Seth Rollins' promo was the substance of the promo. If he wants to go out there and say that he's the future, that he's the best, he's the reason why CM Punk came back, yada, 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 that's fine. The problem right now is that who is that promo directed at? Like, genuinely, go back and listen to the whole thing. Who is he speaking to? Is he speaking to LA Knight? Was he speaking to Roman Reigns? Was he speaking to CM Punk? Was he speaking to Cody Rhodes? Was he speaking to Penta? This guy literally mentioned everybody, including Liberace at this point. Basically, what I'm saying is that Seth Rollins right now has no direction. He is in standby mode. He is in standby mode as we get to the road to SummerSlam, as we figure out who's going to be facing who for what world title. He really is in standby mode until he activates that briefcase. The Seth Rollins heel run, the main character arc of Seth Rollins, hasn't even started. It doesn't start until he cashes that in. It doesn't start until he feuds with whoever he cashes that in on. It doesn't start till Roman Reigns comes back. He is just sort of waiting until all of the pieces actually go into place. And because the pieces aren't into place yet, we get promos like this tonight that are basically directionless and not aimed at anyone in specific. Yes, there is a Seth Rollins and LA Knight feud that's slowly flourishing, but again, the main focus of this promo wasn't even LA Knight. So I actually get where you're coming from, but again, it's not that I don't like what he was saying. It's just what he was saying was just sort of going into the abyss, not really impacting any WWE feuds, programming, or TV. I thought the point of having a pre-recorded interview is usually to make it sound believable. My word, Goldberg can't cut a promo even when he's got a script and as many takes as he wants. I don't know, Gary. I think that we were watching something entirely different. I actually thought that that was awesome. I thought that the interview environment was the best way to deliver Goldberg's motivations as to why he wants to come back, and honestly, it kind of worked on me. I thought his delivery was really good. I thought he sounded believably pissed. I thought that his reasoning for wanting to fight Gunther was entirely reasonable and justifiable. Hey, you embarrassed me in front of my family, in front of my friends, in front of my hometown. I might be 58 years old, but it doesn't matter whether I have a foot in the grave. I'm not just gonna take that lying down. Is it overcomplicated? Is it super complex? No, it's very simple. It's very one-dimensional, very much like Goldberg's actual in-ring wrestling, but it worked in this scenario. So I have to just politely disagree. I actually really like this promo from Gunther, and believe it or not, somehow, some way, it got me a tiny little bit excited for this match that I have no interest in seeing. Very lazy booking of the King of the Ring finals. In all honesty, wasting the first modern day match of Randy versus Cody. This should be more of a big deal than having a tournament be the stakes for the match. This match should have happened during Cody's reign, not show hints and say long-term booking. Now we are here. I genuinely have no problem with the first match between these two being a tournament. I mean, you have to find some way to have friction between these two, and I think that a tournament is a perfect way to do this. The tournament can be the first bullet fired until eventually we're invading each other's homes and trying to murder each other on live TV. That's what I'm expecting out of Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes, but it needs its initial starting point. It needs its inciting incident. Bron Breaker seriously downgraded. Now he's a lackey. He needs a bigger role than this. To you, my friend, all I have to say is patience. Of course he's a lackey. He is behind a significantly bigger, more popular star, more established WWE star in the name of Seth Rollins. It took a while to build Randy Orton. It took a while to build Batista when they were behind Triple H, but eventually they did. And by a while, I mean like north of a year. With Batista, it took 2. And with Bron Breaker, it's probably going to be the same. Is he a lackey right now? Yes, until he isn't. There will be a moment where he's no longer a lackey. There will be a moment that will eventually put him in a collision course directly with Seth Rollins, and Bron Breaker will be the top star of the WWE. So to you, I just say patience, my friend. It will get there, but it will take a while. It's not going to be this year, probably. Dom and AJ being canceled is the right thing. It should be done at SummerSlam with Finn costing Dom. See, I kind of disagree. I feel like the SummerSlam match should have been Dom and Finn, but hey, whatever. That being said, Dom and AJ being canceled from Night of Champions might be a little bit of a blessing in disguise, because I had little to no interest in that match from a story perspective, in that there was pretty much no story going into that match. So if this gives us the ability to maybe just actually build something in terms of a narrative between Dominic Mysterio and AJ Styles, and we can do this at Saturday Night's main event or at SummerSlam even, as you're suggesting here, then sure, why not? This might be the right call. Could Dom's injury be a ploy because he doesn't want to be in Saudi? I hope that he's not injured, and I never think that these injuries are scripted, but in light of news of the controversies, it came to mind. And that's fair, and I appreciate you saying that you don't want to assume that injuries are scripted or not, but I do think that it warrants thinking a little bit deeper about this. You're probably right. It probably is because Dominic Mysterio doesn't want to go to Saudi Arabia, and right now, with how things are in the Middle East, I don't really blame him. And like I said, it might be a blessing in disguise because now it might give Dominic Mysterio and AJ Styles a little bit more time to actually create a story between these two, because they had absolutely nothing going into this show. They are booking Seth Rollins very well as Mr. Money in the Bank. No fake cash-in BS, just simply cutting promos to remind everyone of the briefcase and still looking dangerous. That's a really great way to look at it. I do think that he is directionless right now without somebody to actually bounce off of and create a storyline and a feud with, but also at the same time, he isn't being made to look like a fool, like a member of the Three Stooges, as he continuously fails to cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase. So in that regard, I'm happy with how they're treating him as Mr. Money in the Bank. I hope that this is the case, that there are no fake cash-ins, no teases at all with Seth Rollins. It is when he cashes in, it is successful, and that's it. Out of sight, out of mind, and once it enters into the equation, it enters with the force of 1,000 tsunamis. Gunther's promo tonight really felt like the old Gunther is back. Oh, I'm glad that you said that. I 100% agree. Gunther absolutely knocked it out of the park with this promo, and I'm glad that both Gunther and Goldberg did really well with their promos, because they actually managed to get me even a little bit excited for this match that I didn't want to see at all. Don't get me wrong, I still rather not see this match, but in a world where I'm going to get this match whether I want it or not, at the very least, I'm glad that they're doing a little bit of a decent build for this. And look, I'm also just happy to have a world champion that can actually cut promos. No disrespect to Jay Uso, but when he did cut promos, when he was champion, they weren't very good, and he would just revert to just yeeting all over the place. Meanwhile, Gunther, this guy actually talks. Like, he can actually form sentences and tell a coherent narrative with his promos, and I really miss that and appreciate it. Running this during commercials so Jay Uso could have a yeet sesh twice is absolutely absurd. How is the women's world champion and her prime contender not even a blip on the show? It's absolutely crazy to me. I think it's hilarious that now so many people are just automatically blaming Jay Uso's "hey, run it again" as the reason why certain things get cut from the show. I find it comical. You're right, Eio Sky should not be having segments on commercial break. Eio Sky should not be having segments on commercial break teasing a legendary match that we've been dying to see against Asuka for a world championship. None of that, none of what I just said should be happening on commercial break. It should be happening on TV. I will say I'm of the mind that if it happens on commercial break, I don't really fully treat it as canon. Think about how many times they had Ludwick Kaiser on commercial break hyping up this match that he was going to have at WrestleMania, and it led to nothing. In fact, it led to a hiatus, and now he's appearing as a background character in the Penta and Chad Gable Chronicles. So with this being teased on commercial break, I think it tells me that Asuka's not winning this. We might still get Eio Sky versus Asuka, but seeing this play out on commercial break, to me, it tells me that Asuka's losing. Cody versus Jay was excellent. Although most of us knew that Cody would win, they managed to produce an awesome match, from Cody using the Kimura lock and Jay using the sleeper. Jay Uso only used 2 super kicks right at the end, and Cody used only 1 crossroads. Yeah, dude, this match was genuinely fantastic. It's nice seeing a good Jay Uso singles match. This guy is getting better as a singles performer, even though people want to hate on him because all he does is yeet. He is getting better in the ring. And working alongside Cody Rhodes, I think that they had wonderful chemistry with one another, and it was a truly, truly great match. I will say, however, it was a little bit ridiculous how much of a super Cody we got here there towards the end, with Cody eating 2 super kicks directly to the face, followed by a spear, and then he just like no sells it. He just gets up and hits Jay Uso with a top rope, beautiful Cody cutter. It was nice, but come on, like sell it for a couple seconds at least, you know? I'm glad that Cody won, even if it is the most obvious choice. I know that it doesn't take a lot of brain power to guess that Cody Rhodes was going to win that, and perhaps that takes away a little bit of the drama, just assuming that somebody is going to win and then actually having that person win. But I have to say, like, making sure that we get Cody versus Randy, even if it is a predictable outcome, is a better situation than going with the unpredictable outcome and then the end result being Jay versus Randy, something that is just significantly less exciting than Cody versus Randy. If Night of Champions really does move, I'd love for it to be at the Allstate Arena in Chicago. That would make the match so much more nostalgic. I don't think that the show is going to move, and if it does move, I feel like Chicago would genuinely be pretty hype, because I don't think that it would take a lot of advertising to fill the Allstate Arena with CM Punk and John Cena being your headliner, even with only a couple of days notice. I don't think that the show is going to end. I think that WWE is going to go through with the show in Saudi Arabia regardless of what's going on. I think that that is just inevitable at this point. I will say, I do hope that if WWE TKO thinks that there's even a slight 0.001% chance that their talent and their staff, production teams could be in any sort of danger, to just bail out of this. The Cody versus Jay match was one of the best of Jay's career. It really highlighted how skilled Cody is at elevating his opponents and making them look great in the ring. Props to Jay too. He's definitely shown some growth in his singles work. I want to see more of this Jay Uso moving forward. We were getting glimpses of this Jay Uso here and there with some of the matches that he had as the World Heavyweight Champion, but they never really fully leaned into this version of in-ring Jay Uso. And after seeing him work so well with Cody Rhodes, how could you not want to see more of this? Something tells me that we won't get that he's going to revert to very simplistic wrestling once again. But if he's able to pull out these matches from time to time, then Jay Uso matches could genuinely become a treat. The state of the Raw Tag Team division is just plain sad, and it's becoming more evident every week. There is no formidable rivalry for the New Day, and I'm not sure who he would even be in the foreseeable future. Also, what's up with Waller hanging out with them so much now? This tag team division sucks, okay? I think we can just throw that out there. It completely sucks, especially when you compare it to the SmackDown tag team division. I literally groaned at the fact that they're gonna give us JD McDonough and Finn Balor going after the tag titles. Why? They haven't been going after these things for like a month at this point. They've been focused on doing singles matches, and now all of a sudden, boom, they get a tag team championship match. There's nothing of substance in this division at all. The talent is there, but like, they're not trying. They're not giving these guys anything interesting in terms of rivalries and storylines. Like, I just frankly do not care at all. Not a singular ounce of a fuck do I have for the Raw Tag Team division. I really wonder if they put the crowns over the winners' heads on purpose here. Was it a coincidence, or was it supposed to be a kind of spoiler? I'm sure it's a coincidence, but it is funny to think that there's somebody in WWE's graphic department spoiling matches secretly with his little graphic little quirks. Cody versus Randy in the finals is amazing, but it feels as if something will happen, maybe foreshadowing a heel turn or a tease of a feud between them later. We never forgot about you, Randy. Those little stairs, man, those little stairs for the World Championship. I wish they pulled the trigger when Cody was champion, but here we are. I'm not going to complain that they're finally doing it. But you're right. Something might happen. It could be post-match. Maybe Randy gets mad at losing, and instead of shaking hands with Cody Rhodes like Cody Rhodes and Jay did after their match, maybe Randy, instead of shaking hands, hits Cody with an RKO and sets up the heel turn. The Bron Breaker versus Penta match was an absolute bang. It was fantastic. If Bron Breaker and Penta want to have a match every single week, who am I to stop them? Because these guys genuinely have fantastic chemistry with each other. By the way, how cool is it that Penta is having interactions with Seth freaking Rollins? If we're going to be getting Penta versus Seth Rollins over the next coming weeks, oh my God, hell yeah, that's going to be amazing. Watching Jade Cargill wrestle is painful. I understand her presence is what pushes her, but she should have started in NXT and won a couple of feuds before going to the main event. I do think that this tournament has kind of exposed some weaknesses in Jade Cargill's game, and I feel like we saw a lot more of it in this match against Roxanne Perez. The two did not work very well with each other, and the ending sequence was incredibly awkward, with Jade Cargill's kick not even hitting Roxanne Perez, then a power bomb into a pin that the ref didn't count, and then awkwardly rolling her into the Jaded. It was just a really awkward sequence of events to end that match. I am kind of nervous about Asuka versus Jade Cargill. I don't know that they're going to have good chemistry with each other, and right now I'm going into it thinking that it might be one of the weaker matches of the weekend. But hey, I'm always happy to be wrong, and if being wrong means that we get a good match, then hell yeah, I'm down to be wrong. Holy, okay, let's end it there. I'm losing my voice. Folks, thank you so much for watching this episode of Hot Takes. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Goodbye. Get out of here.